Playing Around by Gilda O'Neill. Read by Carole Boyd. Chapter 1. As the twanging opening strains of Ticket to Ride struck up on her transistor, Angie Knight closed her magazine with a sigh and shoved it under the bed. It was all right for Jackie. She looked like a fair-haired version of that Cathy McGowan off the telly, and for all the other girls who looked as though they belonged to the world that Angie could only glimpse in the glossy pages of Honey, they all knew how to dress, how to look good, and how to do their makeup. On the secret occasion when Angie had experimented with cosmetics, she had wound up looking like a cross between Coco the Clown and a cheap tart, just like her mother, only without the fag hanging from the corner of her mouth. Mind you, men seemed to like the way Angie's mum looked. Lots of men. It was a good job Angie didn't care what blokes thought about her, and that she didn't mind spending yet another Saturday night with no one for company except a bunch of pirate disc jockeys, who sounded as though they were speaking with their heads stuck in a bucket. Although, Angie suspected, that had more to do with the radio her Nan had bought her off Doris Barker than the quality of the actual broadcast, despite the fact that it was coming from somewhere out at sea instead of a nice, cosy BBC studio. The unexpected sound of a key turning in the street door had Angie hurriedly flicking off her crinoline lady bedside lamp and turning off the transistor with a metallic click, darkening the room and silencing Radio Caroline and the Beatles right in the middle of their final chorus. She groaned inwardly and pulled the blankets up over her head. It was only 10:15. She hadn't expected them home nearly so soon. Had the pubs run out of booze? She'd hoped, really hoped, that she would be asleep by the time they got back. Angie listened in the muffled darkness as Vi, her mother, and Chaz, her mother's latest useless boyfriend, stumbled drunkenly up the stairs, their voices raised in anger over something or other. She hadn't expected them to be rowing quite so soon, either. It usually took at least a month for her mother to grow bored with her men, or rather her meal tickets, as she called them, behind their backs, and sometimes to their faces as well if she'd had a few too many snowballs. And then another week or two for the inevitable and occasionally spectacular battles to begin.
"All I said," she heard her mother shriek, "was I didn't like the way your nasty little brother was looking at her yesterday."
Vi, your daughter is meant to be how old?
"She'll be 17 next week, as you'd know if you'd listen to a single bloody word I say."
Angie threw back the covers and propped herself up on her elbows. Had she heard right? Were they actually arguing about her?
17. Exactly.
Chaz was triumphant. This was a first. Her mother was the centre of the universe. The only possible topic of interesting conversation, everyone knew that. Well, you did if you spent any time in this house, regardless of whether you were her daughter or a visiting boyfriend, even if you were a well-off dodgy car dealer, businessman, from Chigwell like Chaz, rather than a casual pull off a local building site, as the last one had been.
"Surely she can look after herself at that age."
There was a pause. Then the sound of her mother's bedroom door being swung back viciously on its hinges, and her mother snapping,
"You've seen how slow she is around fellas. She could really get conned, especially by a nice-looking boy like your Matthew. You've got to do something, Ches, I mean it."
Slow? Conned? Angie sank back on her pillows, her cheeks burning red with shame.
"Don't be daft." "I'm telling you, I didn't like the way that randy little so-and-so was looking at her."
Vi's voice was now whiny and low, as, in a customary display of acrobatic mood-swinging, she'd leapt from banshee to pouty child in a single accomplished swoop.
"He could take advantage."
Angie heard Chaz snort derisively, and then the twang of bedsprings.
"Be honest, sweetheart, who'd want to take advantage of that mousy little thing? She's as timid as a bloody rabbit and twice as gormless."
"Don't talk about her like that." Chaz snorted again.
"I'm not saying she's got a furry coat, long pointy ears and big teeth. I'm just saying—"
Angie could hear Vi laughing.
"Stop it, Chaz. She can't help the way she is."
"She can't help the way she is." Angie felt her eyes begin to prickle with humiliation.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?